Hello, everybody. I'm going to jump on and I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit and get your take on a couple of things. I wanted to sit in the backyard, except we had storms here recently. And after storms, tons of trees down, and people are out there with they're just, can you hear it? It's like the last of the summer noises in Minnesota is people going and cutting up trees and branches and things that fell down. I've been thinking about something lately. If you guys are new to my channel, I'm Natalie, and I do a channel called Scientology Life After a Cult, where I share about my 35 years in Scientology, escaping the cult, and do daily commentary on different Scientology cult news. Recently, a few months ago, 79 days to be exact, I lost my partner. He passed away after a 3-year battle with cancer. And somebody asked me this question the other day, and I've been thinking about it. Hey, Irrelevant Panda, good to see you. I wanted to be in the backyard. I don't know if you heard that, but there's like saws going on all around me. Hey, Capricious Carolyn, good to see you. Mafiatology. I love that. What hopes does a new Sea Org member have of realizing the truth about Scientology? Not a lot. Honestly, not a lot, because the environment is so isolated that it's almost impossible while you're in there to learn the truth. You have no access to any outside information. Hey, Karen, I know, back already, right? If I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it later. Because I got to be honest, it's hard. This is kind of how my day goes, is I do the recap, I get through it, and then I move on to whatever the work it is that I need to do, and I spend a whole chunk of the day, just working through the grief, working through the loss, going through things, closing things out. It's just, dying is a very complicated, and there's just a lot to do when you lose somebody. And Liz, thank you so much. Oh, Karen, you'll have to come back on the replay, but thank you for popping in. Hi, Kathy. Hey, Born Agent. What a great name. So somebody asked me, is losing your partner and going through this, is that harder than what you went through in escaping from Scientology? Christy, thank you so much. Hey, SP Crusader, I will take all the hugs I can get, you guys, even the virtual ones. I'm a big believer in the power of hugs, and yeah. I try to get my Oliver, my grandson, to give me more hugs, and I have to chase him down. It might be getting to be a bit much. Mafiatology, I really appreciate that. It helps me so much to be able to talk about it with you guys and get your thought on it. Thank you, Karen. And so I've been thinking about this, especially when I have harder days, like since, August 16th was our anniversary. And what is today? We're like a couple weeks out. My birthday is next week, and there's, just all these days, all these occasions, and these, just everything. There's just this hole. And the more I thought about it, because I was, trying to see, in my mind, the two aren't even comparable, but they are in ways, because it's also a loss if you lose family to Scientology. And Carolyn, you're right. I think those are totally different situations. Apples and oranges. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. Mafiatology, I grew up in Scientology. My mom married a Scientologist she met in the strip club she was working at when I was 5. And, then she went on to be married 4 times total. 1 time to my biological dad, never in Scientology. The next 3 were Scientologists, and 2 of them were related, but that's a whole nother story. So I've realized that though, leaving Scientology, and really for many of us, you don't leave, you escape, especially if it's the Sea Org or you come from a multi-generational family. You do all of that. Hey, Nancy, thank you for being here. Nancy's my moderator. And it is a whole different kind of pain and pressure and stress and fear. And I mean, Liz Ferris, Liz, than losing a partner. And so far, I think I would say that losing Tony is worse. Um, and it's not about what's worse or what's not. It's just a way of processing it. You know, what do I have to compare it to? Losing my mom, but you know, it's not the same. It's different. It's still painful. But the hope it gives me is I was okay after a while when my mom died, and I know I'm going to get there as well. Hey, the Holy Rogue, great to see you. Escape indeed, right? You know about that. That is what I'm talking about. Phoenix Fire 420 watching 2 streams, this one and yours from this morning. I love it. Thank you. Hit the like on both. So as I've been thinking about this, because like I said, it's just been, I'm going to be honest, it's been a shit show around here. Good things happening too, but I'm having to go through a lot of his things. There's some family coming this weekend from his side of the family, and I cannot wait to see them. But it means there's some things I need to go through so I can hand it over to them. Some, you know, just family things from his side of the family that should really stay with his family. So I'm kind of having to do more of that. And every time I do that, it just knocks me into, you know, being a complete and utter hot mess about it. But it's also an opportunity to express that grief. And I do that on a daily basis. The highlight of my day is doing the recap. It's prepping for it. It takes me a couple hours to get ready and put the show together. And going and doing it is the highlight of my day. And I know I will get to the point where I have other highlights. And it's not just, you know, this. But I'm so thankful for this because exposing Scientology makes me incredibly happy. And being able to interact with all of you in that way too, I find a lot of strength in that. Old Fritz, my husband died the same day my granddaughter was born nearly 7 years ago. It makes the anniversary of his death easier. Oddly, suppose it's distraction, although very mixed emotions. That is interesting. I totally see that. And I can also see how it would be. It's poetically beautiful in ways, but still that is hard. That's hard. I'm sorry for your loss, but I can see how that would kind of help having, you know, a new life on that same day. Born Ancient, you're right. The first are the hardest. The rest aren't easy. You just get used to managing the wave of emotions and learn to give yourself grace eventually. That's exactly it. That is the biggest problem I think that I face. Okay, I came around the front of my house because this guy was in the back, and now I think he's moved into the back. So hopefully you won't hear too much of the lawnmower. That's the realization I had when I looked at the two things. When I escaped from Scientology, what it took, the 2 years it took me to enact a plan to make sure I get as many of my family out as I could. How hard that was. The losing the friends, having to pretend for 2 years that I was still down with Scientology so that they wouldn't send my daughter out of the country who was training in Florida. It was a very difficult time. And in the end, once they found out and it, you know, it all came out, and the number of friends that I had lost that really were my only people at that point, it was a lot. But hey, Liz Gale, thank you, doll, thank you for being here. Hey, Karen, thank you, the real sassafras, I appreciate that. I'm getting a little caught up on the chat here. Kara says, someone told my mom that I'm different after losing my partner. Of course I am. My life has completely changed, and all of my visions, dreams for the future are also gone, but different isn't bad. Whew, I get that. That's a big part of why I went to Kansas City. It's something that we talked about doing. If you guys have been following my channel, we went to Chicago to protest Scientology. We went to Clearwater we also protested Scientology, but we really were there more to be with our friends when we were right in the middle of getting the worst of the news. And just to have that support, you know, to physically be with people, be with our friends. And that was amazing. And those same people still are helping to get me through. It's part of why I want Kelly Copter to move to the United States. I want her to be here because she was such a part of that and continues to be as well. Sharona, this is so right. The weight doesn't get lighter. You just slowly get used to carrying it. So many virtual hugs heading your way. Thank you. And I will take all of them, truly. And you're right. So that's kind of the thing that I had realized, is that it's different, but I can also see the similarities. So I try and think, what did I draw strength from when I was escaping Scientology? And to be honest, it was my Sea Org training and Scientology training, which is not a healthy way to deal with things. But it's what I had to be to put up with the amount of harassment of myself and my family from Scientology. And that is not even something that even bothers me anymore. Like, there's 3 people that I would still love to see that disconnected from me. Hundreds of people disconnected from me when I left, escaped Scientology. And honestly, there's only 3 that I would, be like, I would love to see them. And I would see any of my old friends from Scientology. But there's pretty much not anyone I'm just dying to see, except, like I said, there's 3 people. And then in going through this now and this type of loss, I don't want to lean on the TR's training, suppressing the emotions, pushing it aside, doing the Scientology way of not dealing with grief or loss or minimizing it. And I'm not. And I got to give a lot of you credit that we're never in a cult like Scientology and dealing with these things and having to full-blown feel the emotions and go through it. It is so much harder than what we were trained to do, which was just compartmentalize it and push it aside and get to work. If you follow my channel, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I hope you join, subscribe, and get caught up on everything. Joe, I'm so glad you feel comfortable to cry and get your feelings out. I'm getting more comfortable with it. I've been wanting to do more of these videos and have more chats with you guys like this. And honestly, the reason I don't do it is because it's upsetting. But here's the thing. I need to be upset. I need to feel it and get through it. And because of my Scientology indoctrination, even though I've dropped a lot of it, sometimes I need to almost trigger that emotion. And I have no shortage of triggers once I finish my live stream, but coming and talking about it really, I feel like that helps me process it even more, being that so many of you have been through a similar situation and are going through it. That's right, the old programming, Holy Rogue, that's right. It's the old programming. And I'm really realizing how, I don't know, I have a new appreciation for people never in Scientology, ex-Scientologists who have been able to totally shed that mindset and those tools and really raw dog grief, loss, all of it. And don't get it twisted. I have a little bit of medication help when I need it. And was it yesterday? There have been a few days lately when I needed it and it helped. And I was like, wow, why am I I don't really need to suffer my suffering. If there's something that will take the edge off and at least make it so I can breathe, why wouldn't I do that? And we weren't allowed to do it in Scientology. You can't take medication. When my mother died, so the first major loss for me was my mom dying. I was 2 years out of Scientology. And I learned about, I think back then, what was it? I think I had Xanax 2 times. And was blown away by how it got rid of the uncontrollable overwhelm, the anxiety. This round, it's Ativan, which I think is a miracle drug because I've had a couple times where it was so overwhelming. And yesterday was one of those times, right after my stream. And, there's times like now where I get upset because I'm talking about it and I have to talk about it. But, it's manageable, I guess, or more manageable. Mena, I feel you so much. I'm so glad you have the support of this community, but I feel it I feel it too much. So I'm grateful for the community for you, but I can't watch these. Oh, Mena, love to you. And by all means, step away. Save yourself, girl. I'm telling you, I would step away if I could. But you got to do you, hun. I appreciate you even being here. Joe, even people never in like myself can find it hard to show real emotion and not worry about it. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? I never really thought about that. I guess I could see that. Yeah, thank you, Holy Rogue. Happy I used the proper medication. It's a lifesaver. It's just been a handful of times, but it's like when I get to the point where I feel the pressure so much in my chest, that overwhelming anxiety, and then I know that's not healthy, and it helps me. Yep, Karen, then you know what I'm talking about. Yep, the breathing sassafras, that's a good key thing. Capricious Carolyn, I drank to self-medicate. I'm not talking about occasional anxiety, but you have to be careful. Those medications are addicting. Yeah, I mean, it's been, like I said, 79 days. I think I've taken it 5 times. I'm conscious of that, but thank you. Do what works for you, Natalie. Grief is hell to get through. Yes, it is. It helps to talk. It does. It really helps me to get your guys' view on things, too. Me and Taz, keep on talking. Please don't feel you need to keep these, keep things in. Sorry, this is going fast. I get what you're saying, though. I was also distracted because I think Instacart's here with my groceries, but that's fine. They can just drop them off. I'll just be here crying and talking. King's Kid, when my husband passed away, if I'd cry, people would be uncomfortable, but I needed to cry, so I kind of isolated myself so I could get through my sadness. I get that. I completely get that. God, do I get that. And that is exactly what I'm trying, not to do. And, there's just so many ways. Hold on, you guys. Hey there, you can just toss it right there. Thank you so much. Oh, no worries. It's all cluttered up there. Thank you. God, I love Instacart. I get it, King's Kid. I get what you're saying. That's so true. Hey, Robin Miner. It's good to see you. It comes in waves. I'm glad you can share and process. We love you. Thank you. Hey, Maria from Greece. It is. It is. It just comes in waves. And then I have moments where overall, like, I'm happy. It's just processing and going through this. It's like nothing I've ever felt before. And I think it's because for the first time, I have this major loss and I'm not dealing with it through my Scientology programming. And it's so much harder. And I've had a couple times where I thought, I can make this stop. I know how to compartmentalize my emotions to be able to do that, and I won't do it. Doesn't matter where I am, I mean, I cry at the post office. I've told you guys, all kinds of public places. I'm doing my best to not do that. I don't want to do that. And I get a lot of reassurance when I hear from you guys that this is normal. I don't know how anybody gets through it. I mean, I do. There's a lot of tools out there. But I give so much credit to people who've been truly processing their emotions without, either, medicating, like someone said earlier, with alcohol or something else. And I don't drink alcohol anymore, thank goodness. I'm a 420 girl, which, also helps at times. Let's see. But, I got to get through a whole day and work and stuff, so can't be doing that all day. Kara, your partner passed in 2019. Imagine me thinking, all right, 2020 is the year I'll start being okay. Oh, I totally get it. And the thing is, here's what I'm finding out. As painful as it is to cry and be upset and feel the feelings and get it out, I do feel better after. It does help overall. I'm able to go on and show up every day for the most part and do this live stream and, talk about Scientology and expose Scientology because I love it and it makes me happy, and I would literally do it for a Happy Meal, but it is also nice to, be able to do it full time. Mafiatology, I stepped away. Apologies if you already answered. I was only in Scientology for a little while, but I kept having this question. I keep asking everyone, there's so much tech that's useful and seemingly good, and yet Scientology weaponizes it to their benefit. How do you reconcile the good from Scientology with the evil? That is an excellent question. And that really is going to vary person by person because, we all have different stories and different backgrounds and a different experience in Scientology. I think my guideline has been what I find to be true, whether or not it's Scientology. So in other words, if there's something in Scientology I found to be helpful that turned out to be a natural truth, then I kept it, but not as part of Scientology, just that that's a natural truth. That's something that I believe. Because anything can be used for good or for bad when you think about it. I don't know that answers your question fully, but, keep bringing it up or wording it a different way if I didn't exactly get that. But that is an excellent question. And I think continuing to process and gain new tools, that's why I like reading books and listening to podcasts and all of that, that's what gets me through. Info dump truck, thank you. But we're just talking about having lost my partner Tony and how that compares to escaping from Scientology and dealing with all of that. Hey, Steve Kahn, good to see you. Steve, I'm never on Facebook and stuff hardly anymore, so I have no idea what's happening. Just catching up with your comments here too. Hey, Power Lies to Paralyze. Wise words. Yeah, Christy, you're right. It hurts so much because we loved each other so much. And like I said, that's part of why I wanted to go to Kansas City and go now, is him and I talked a lot. It was, it's horrible to lose somebody to cancer. At the same time, that you have a limited amount of time. And let's be honest, we all have a limited amount of time on this earth. You just don't know, right? I could be abducted by aliens tomorrow. I used to say hit by a truck, but I don't want to put that out into the universe. But I don't know why aliens makes it better. But you guys know what I mean. Oh, Boxer Heather, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't have anything else like that prescribed or really a history of it much, so they were cool with it. Yes, selfless. Oh my God. Relationships like the one you have with Tony can insulate you from the world in a way. And when those relationships are gone, it's like the whole world comes rushing back. And it knocks you off balance. Dude, you are like a poet at heart, I think, because that's exactly it. It's, when I joke about, like, how do you guys raw dog this? I realize, like, Tony was my oasis in ways after Scientology. And now it's all of you, whether you like it or not. And that is a huge part of it. And I'm learning how to do that, how to do the next thing. And I mean, to be honest, even take care of myself. For some reason, like, I can get things done with work, but I forget to do my laundry. I don't eat, or I eat, like, not the best. And I'm working on that. I just had groceries delivered, as you heard, from Instacart. I've got some good things in there. But those are ways that, like, Tony was such a big part of that. He just wanted to take care of me, and he loved me, and I loved him. And after, a decade, almost 11 years of that, and it being, just 2 years after I left Scientology, it's kind of hitting me in the face. I don't have, that same, I don't even know what you call it, support, safe space. I have to make it for myself. And I am. I'm figuring that out. King's Kid, this is therapy for so many of us too. Yeah, me too, absolutely. And I want to do this and I want to share this with you guys because, you know, I get up, I prep, I do my thing, I get through the recap, I love it. It really helps set me up, you know, for a good day in ways, but it's still, it's afterwards. It's when now I have to think about the next thing. And even if I'm busy with work, it's hard. And there's so many things I'm still dealing with that I have to, you know, go through, like his things and his clothes. And that part just sucks. And I know I don't have to do it all right now, but for me and the way that I operate, I do. I like getting things done and wrapped up. And while I'm doing it, I do find it therapeutic. Sometimes I'm laughing, going through his things, and other times I'm doing this. I'm just crying about it. And yesterday was a really rough day. And I was going through some of his things and I posted on the community page. I don't know if you guys saw it. I found a kiss. I used to leave him these kisses on pieces of paper, like with my lipstick, lip kiss. And he kept one. And I think it was one of the first ones. Number one, I want to know what that lip stain was, because that thing is still on the paper and lasted all these years. I wish I could remember. But I found it in his important papers, and it had a coffee stain on it. And he still kept it. And I'm like, that is the most amazing thing in the world to me. It's those little things like that that I'm also loving finding. Charm School Dropout, you know what? I was thinking about that. Because I was even thinking about, you know, a grief support group. And in the beginning, that just seemed too heavy. But I'm still thinking about it. I think I might go more that route. And, of course, therapy. Yeah, right now it's you guys. And then using other tools that I learned in therapy. But I definitely need to get back to that, or a grief support group. I will be doing something like that. I know I'll need continued support in that way. Dragon Wrangler, that is a great idea. I should do something like that with his clothes. I need to find somebody who can like do quilts or something. Oh gosh, yes. Mama Marine, I get it. I had trouble with the clothes because I felt like I was giving him away. I wanted to keep everything, so that wasn't the end. Not sure if that makes sense. It makes total sense. I completely get it. In going through his stuff and realizing, like, I have this whole box of things that I need to shred that don't need to be kept. And all I could think was, I feel like I'm erasing him. I'm erasing him from the world. Because, you know, you close accounts and you shut things down, and you certain paperwork and documents you just don't need to keep anymore. And then I remind myself, you know, wherever he is, whatever he's doing, because I don't know what happens when you die, but I feel him around, and I feel him not just happy, but encouraging, still cheerleading me on. I didn't want grief support. It's odd. Kind of wanted to... Oh, I get what you're saying. Ultimately feel it. Yeah. I think that's where I'm at right now. I know this might sound weird, but I don't want to share it with a bunch of people. Yet here I am with all of you. It just is different. I know there are, you know, there's a lot of people here and that I share with on YouTube. Maybe it's just because I can't see your faces. It just feels intimate. But in a group with people who can see me, and I don't know, I'm not ready for that yet. Kept them for another year, kind of. Oh, King's Kid. Yeah, I get that. Tony's boys, I told them there's some that I will keep for a certain amount of time, as long as I have the space. But it is interesting to figure out, what do you keep? What do you get rid of? I don't know. That's been really hard. I don't keep, like, I don't like a lot of things. In fact, I feel like I have way too much stuff in this house. He had so many tools. Why do we need so many tools? I mean, he had reasons. I don't have those reasons. I'm going to have to one day do a video in the garage just so you guys can tell me what half the damn tools are for, because I don't even know. But I know what you're saying about the guilt of keeping those things. And those things are not him. It was a part of him. And I remind myself of that too. I can never erase him. He will always be a part of my life moving forward. He was such a part of it for such a long time. And it's such a key time. And I'm so thankful for that, because I escaped from a human trafficking cult, and within 2 years met this man who loved me unconditionally and never made me feel weird or bizarre or whatever. In fact, it's what he liked about me. And I feel like with him, it started becoming what I liked about me. We're all very different and we have our own quirks. And Tony helped me get very comfortable with that. So I'm so thankful for that. I try as much as possible to, remember that as well, and feel the gratitude that I feel for having had him for that length of time. And he was a key part of me falling in love with myself again. Maybe for the first time in my life, because growing up in Scientology and being in the Sea Org, you're just a piece of crap. And then you leave the Sea Org and you're a degraded being, no matter how much Scientology you do. Oh, the sun is starting to hit me, which is making it harder to see. Maybe it's just when you know, you know. Yeah, I think you're right. When the time is right, the time is right. I think that is it. And that is my conclusion to all of it. It is not the same thing as escaping from Scientology. It's different. And escaping from Scientology, I had to be more of a warrior, for lack of a better word. I had to fight for my family. I had to fight for my daughter. And that's like more this warrior mentality. And I'm not doing that in getting through this, because everything I read, everything I hear is you have to feel it and process it, or you just pay the price later. So that's what I'm doing. And I do think that, so they're not apples to apples, what somebody said. That makes sense to me. And it feels harder because I'm letting myself feel the emotions. Whereas when I escaped from Scientology, I wasn't letting myself feel the emotions because I needed to get things done. I had to save my family. I had to make sure my daughter was okay. It was a long time before, I really started to process those emotions as well. From what you're describing of your symptoms, seems like depression, lack of attention to self, eating, bathing. Yeah, I do shower. I might go 2 days, but yeah, I get what you're saying, selfless. I thought about that too, checking in with my doctor and being like, okay, do I need something that's more every day? But I am getting out. And I also know what helps me is getting out and being with people and getting outside and all of those things. And I'm doing that. I'm doing that. I actually get quite a bit done because I feel like I have to. There's so much to do. But I appreciate you guys and your words of encouragement and you sharing your stories. Like I said, what blows my mind so much is that people have been experiencing this without, I think even if you weren't in a cult, you can try to compartmentalize it. We're just really good at it. I think a lot of ex-Scientologists, especially ex-Sea Org members, were indoctrinated and trained to withstand an incredible amount of pressure, abuse, criticism, all kinds of things. And then later in life, I worked in radio and did another podcast. And, so you become very thick-skinned about things. And I don't feel like I have thick skin about this at all. Me as an ex-Scientologist, hearing that Tony loved you unconditionally is so healing. Leaving a cult is one thing. Then there's the feeling isolated after you leave because you feel you're judged. Exactly. And if you're an ex-Scientologist, people are not going to judge you the way that you think they are. We think people are going to judge us because that's what we were told in Scientology. That has not been my experience. People have been fascinated, interested, and genuinely curious about my time in Scientology. So I never really felt that. And I think more important than that, what someone said earlier, we have to give ourselves grace and not judge ourselves. And I think that's worse than what anybody else can do. For whatever reason, other people's judgment, or if somebody says something, and as a content creator, that's always going to happen. You have some level of people who don't like you or don't like what you do, and that's okay. It's always that way. It's just in humans, it will always be that way. And that doesn't bother me. But it's interesting to see and learn how so many of you have dealt with these things. And I just feel like you guys are amazing. Like how strong you have to be just to continue to show up sometimes. So for all of you who went through something like this, or you're going through it, or whatever the loss or struggle is, well done on just continuing to show up every day. Truly, like I get it. I get it. And we should all just pat ourselves on the back there for just even doing that, because sometimes showing up it just takes everything we have just to do that. And getting out and going to Kansas City recently and protesting Scientology, that helps me. I don't know why, but it does. It really does. Yep, routines, Mary, you're right. And that's the thing I'm realizing, that my routines have changed and I need new routines. And what was really getting to me yesterday was what seemed like my inability or failure to do simple things like laundry. I'm like, I do other things in work, not just YouTube, but outside of YouTube as well. And how come I can do all that, but, can't bring myself to cook or do laundry? For some reason I can clean. That's fine. Like, oh my God. You know what it is? I bet it's because those are the things that Tony did. He banned me from doing laundry a decade ago. He had really nice clothes, and I might have ruined a couple sweaters. So I never did that. Yeah, I'm with you. Chocolate helps too. I need some dark chocolate in my life. I really do. And even with the cooking, he was so much better at it than me. So he took that role. He enjoyed it. He was good at it. I finally made myself something that wasn't out of the toaster oven for the first time, except for like cereal and stuff. I actually used the stove, and I cried. Like, why am I crying and cooking? And I realize it's because I'm doing what he would have been doing. Even when I wanted to cook something for myself, if he was home, he didn't want me doing it because he knew he did it better. And he did. He really did. Oh, a cooking class is not a bad idea, but for some reason, I don't know. I just can't. I don't know. I just got this block on cooking, at least right now. Thank you. All right. But anyways, that's kind of the thing that I was thinking about and wanted to check in, just talk to you guys outside of my daily recap. Because when I do the daily recap, I try to just completely be in the zone. It's a break for me too. It's a break to do something that is, as fun as exposing Scientology can be. I like to think I make it fun. And it is definitely more fun and enjoyable with all of you joining. And I appreciate you guys so much. When Tony did a few videos, I know he communicated that with you. And you guys have just been amazing. This community is just everything. Yeah, I know, Grubhub. But then I eat too many things that aren't great for me. But I'm figuring it out, and I will figure it out. I will get there. I mean, yeah. We're figuring it out. All right, well, I think that's the gist of it for me. I really appreciate you guys being here for these talks. I want to share these things with you too, because it's easy to go and do the recap and it seems like everything is fine. And it is when I'm doing it. Um, but it's getting better. It gets harder and it gets better. It gets harder and it gets better. And I didn't expect that. I thought it would be more like really bad and then it would get better and better and better. And it was really bad, better, really bad, better, really bad, better. But each time I think it gets a little bit better. I have more hours that I string together where, you know, I'm feeling really good and I'm happy and I'm reminded of everything that Tony wanted for me and that I wanted for myself. Um, Before he died, he was clear about it, even in the hospital, even when he was intubated in the ICU. The notes that he wrote me was all about me getting on with it and having an amazing life. That is what he wanted for me. And that is what I want for myself. I'm just figuring out what that looks like. I don't know. That's part of why I like the idea of going and visiting different people in this community and protesting Scientology and meeting different people and seeing how they live. What do you do? What do you enjoy? I want to play pickleball. I've never done it before. Just, you know, get out there and try some new things to figure out, what does life look like for me? What does an amazing life look like? I don't know. For the last 5 years, I've relatively led somewhat outside of work. You know, it was the pandemic, and then Tony was sick for almost 3 years, and we really laid low. So I'm just figuring out what it all looks like. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, let me know. And I'll go catch up on the chat too. It moves so fast I can't read everything, but I am going to go back and look at it. But thank you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I got to get these groceries in the house because I've got some cold stuff in there and I'm starving because I've not eaten all day. But I'm going to go remedy that because I am taking care of myself. But thank you guys all for being here. Double tap that screen, hit that like. And if you want to subscribe as well. We're going to be doing a lot of all kinds of things coming up, including figuring out my life in real freaking time. But whatever. I'm here for it. Hopefully you guys are too. I hope you guys get out and just continue an amazing cult-free day. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everybody.